guys, and welcome back to the Try Time Podcast. I'm Matt, and you join me for a slightly different Saturday video this week, where we're going to take a look at the ultimate 17 for a particular club. For the caveats, this is primarily the Super League era. For any players that have spanned pre-Super League and Super League, then we will factor in what they achieved prior to becoming a summer competition and kind of build that into whether or not we think they deserve the spot. I'm going to go through one for each position and then a bench of 4. The bench doesn't necessarily represent a bench as you would make this up in a fictional real game, just rather 4 players who were the most unlucky to miss out on a spot in the main team. So without further ado, let's jump into our first team, which is the Wigan Warriors. Now, following on for their Challenge Cup win at the time of recording last weekend, then we thought it'd be a perfectly fitting place to start, and yeah, we will eventually get through more of these teams, so do like and let us know your comments if you enjoyed this one. Coming in at full-back is quite an obvious one, and it is, of course, Sam Tomkins. Super League poster boy for a long time, of course, 2 stints at Wigan, NRL either side, 144 tries and 152 in the first stint, first 24 when he came back. The honours list speaks for itself. 3 Super League titles, 2 League Leaders Shields, 2 Challenge Cups and a World Club Challenge. It had to be, really. Another League Leaders Shield with Catalan to show his talents off after leaving Wigan, but yeah, despite being run close, Tomkins has to go in at full-back. Joining him, the first winger, is Josh Charnley, another Wigan Academy product who was really in that ultra-dominant early 2010s Wigan team that maybe didn't get the silverware it deserved, but certainly was a threat to play against. Unlike Tomkins, when he did depart, he did not return to Wigan, as we know, going first on to Warrington and now at Leigh, where he is chasing down Danny Maguire and Ryan Hall to be Super League's all-time top try scorer. At Wigan, 164 and 172, a fantastic try record, over 800 points for the club. Like Tomkins, it's the honours list that speaks for itself. 3 Grand Finals, 2 League Leaders Shield and 2 Challenge Cups with Wigan, going on to win subsequently with Warrington and Leigh as well. Charnley's impact on the pitch can only be described by his tries, and winning the top try scorer in consecutive seasons in 2012 and 13 whilst at Wigan with 31 and 33 tries respectively, it undermines how talented a finisher Charnley was, and still is to this day for Leigh. Joining him in the centre is the first non-Wigan Academy pro, and actually the first overseas player on this list, and that is George Carmont. In a stint from 2008 through to 2012, Carmont featured for the Warriors 153 times, scoring 79 tries, and got into the Super League Dream Team on 3 separate occasions in 2008, 2011 and 2012, the latter of those even being Wigan Player of the Year. And again, this was the season where Charnley scored 31, where Tomkins was around. This was a competitive team to win that award in. His individual club honours might not quite be as long as some of the others we've discussed, just the 1 Super League, 2 League Leaders Shield and a Challenge Cup, but that is a testament to the fact he spent a lot less time there, and we saw this Wigan team really get into its stride around this point. I would argue that since his departure, Carmont is probably still one of the best centres Wigan have had, and somebody that actually, if he was available today and they signed him, would walk straight into that team. Joining him in this fictional team in the centre is our first of the players to span the Super League era, the St Helens Academy product who controversially signed for Wigan after 15 games down at Canterbury, is Gary Connolly, who would go on to feature for the Warriors 300 times in his first stint before a couple of seasons at Leeds saw him rejoin for one last hurrah in 2004. Connolly scored a total of 137 tries for Wigan and went on to do so much for the team, despite being initially the Judas of the group. Brought over from St Helens for £250,000, which you think this is mid-90s money. That in itself says a lot about what he has achieved. A centre/full-back, he featured in multiple Grand Final wins, Challenge Cup finals and is one of those forgotten legends in many parts for the younger generation, particularly those who aren't Wigan fans. And yeah, we have to respect what he's achieved and put him in the team here today. The next man in the team is Pat Richards on the other wing, who is a player I remember very fondly for his time at Wigan. Netting nearly 2,500 points for the Warriors with his tries, drop goals, conversions. Richards is, all in all, I think one of Wigan's best recruits. Whether it be the fact of his little Irish passport that meant he wasn't even a quota player, yet had all the NRL quality, or just generally the clutch plays he did both with his kicking and ball in hand. Richards also achieved a lot actually outside of Wigan. He was the first Australian to get to 1,000 NRL career points, which again just epitomises his class when it comes to his actual all-round rugby performances. The NRL winner whilst at Wigan, 2 Super League titles, 2 League Leaders' Shields, 2 Challenge Cups, and a Man of Steel victory, of course, in 2010. Surprised that was his only appearance in Dream Team, but he did ultimately win Wigan Player of the Year that season and 2008 before that. Richards was a shoo-in for me, despite Wigan having some really good wingers over the past, 20 odd years of Super League, nearly 30 now. Richards for me still stands out as being probably one of the best to ever do it. Moving into the halves, and we've got a man who is now probably more controversial than he was back then at Wigan. It's the one who ducked out of being their head coach a few years back when he was supposed to take over from Adrian Lamb, and that is Shaun Edwards. Now, he spent a lot of time, of course, in the Welsh Rugby Union setup at that point, and since then joining France for their Six Nations campaign, which led to a Grand Slam in 22. Over in the world of league, he definitely was a pre-Super League player primarily, however leaving Wigan in 1997 does just about qualify him for this list. 274 tries in 466 was a great return, and over 1,000 points for the Warriors. His honours at the club level are the main, let's be honest, this is the main reason he's here. 3 World Club Challenges, 8 Championship Shields, 9 Challenge Cups, 5 Lancashire Cups, 5 Premierships and 7 League Cups, all at Wigan. It's very difficult to think of anyone who has an honours list as long as that. The 89-90 Man of Steel winner could not be overlooked for the number 6 jersey. And he will be partnered in the halves by one of Wigan's best overseas players of all time. That is, of course, Tommy Luluai. The Auckland native joined from London in 2007, and what a revelation he has been. He obviously left Wigan to go back to New Zealand Warriors in 2013 before coming back home, as the Wigan fans call it, 5 years later. Over 300 appearances, 75 tries across his 2 stints at the club, and of course now working at the Warriors in a coaching capacity. Luluai's ability is widely known, and I think the most telling fact of that, the fact that he is still to this day the last player to be picked for, New Zealand, but also either Australia or New Zealand, to be playing their trade in Super League at the time of being capped. And that probably says as much as it needs to. 2 Super League titles, 3 League Leaders, 2 Challenge Cups, and a member of the 2017 World Club Challenge winning squad. Also, 2010 Harry Sunderland Trophy winner. His individual honours list is impressive, his club time was impressive. Tommy Luluai, easy pick for the 7 shirt. Prop forward time now, and we're starting with the then most expensive player in history, the man who joined his former coach Brian Noble at Wigan after leaving Bradford. It is, of course, Stuart Fielden. Fielden had a great career, despite some interesting punch-ups along the way, which usually he came off second best with. The scuffle with Huddersfield's Keith Mason, and even more famously while on England duty, Willie Mason of Australia, where he got KO'd in one punch, are probably what comes to mind with him. However, Fielden definitely made his impact on the pitch. Just 3 tries, but let's face it, prop forwards are not the most prolific try scorers, the England and Great Britain international knew how to play to get the best out of himself in the Wigan shirt, and of course won the 2010 Grand Final with them. He spent a lot of the time out injured towards the latter end of his career, particularly with a few knee problems, but that doesn't take away from the player he was, and on his day Fielden had the ability to go with the best of them, and despite some stiff competition for that reason takes the first prop spot in this team. Hooker, I'll keep this one quite brief because there's not too much to say. It is one of the best tacklers in the Super League era, and it is of course Michael McLaurin. Still active at Catalans, McLaurin only 24 tries across 240 appearances at Wigan, but again, it's the honours list that stands out. A key part of the 2 Super League and 2 Challenge Cup victories across 2010 through to 2013. Obviously, we know he's still got a good level of ability. Challenge Cup winner in 2018 with Catalan, member of the last World Cup squad with England. Probably on the tail end of his career now, and I suspect may leave Catalan this year. And who knows what the future holds for McLaurin, but he will go down as a Wigan legend, regardless of where he ends up. The second prop on this list then is a man who is now probably more known for his punditry on Sky, and that is Terry O'Connor. O'Connor, again, crossing the boundaries of pre- and post-Super League era with a 10-year stint at Wigan from 94 through to 2004, in which 13 tries in 306 games. It was a very successful stint, let's face it, at Wigan. Multiple trophies along the way, from Grand Finals, Challenge Cups, but also the first prop to ever be in the Dream Team on 4 separate occasions. By the time of his testimonial, and in fact still to this day, he is the 28th most capped Wigan player in history, and that, I think, says a lot. His durability, his duration at this level, and 4 times in that Dream Team. I know I said that, but you cannot understate how crucial that is. He was ultimately part of the Team of the Decade in Super League when they did that in 2006 to celebrate the first 10 years of the Super League era, and do you know what? It was certainly deserved, because he is a really good prop forward for both Great Britain and Ireland, and of course at club level. O'Connor, shoe-in for this position. Second row time now, and it's another active player, and the first one of these at Wigan still, and that is Liam Farrell. He has a highlight reel that's full of tries and moments of brilliance in the big games. He is, of course, probably one of the best line runners in the league still to this day, and 141 tries from 367 games out in the second row. That is a really strong try-scoring record for a forward. His honours list, again, it reads for itself. 5 Super League titles, 4 League Leaders' Shields, 4 Challenge Cups, 2 World Club Challenges, 6 times in Super League Dream Team, and a Harry Sunderland Trophy winner. I don't need to say any more than that. Farrell is arguably the best English second rower when looking at the whole career in Super League. And the fact that he's not being capped more by England is somewhat criminal. Joining him in the second row is his cousin, it's Andy Farrell. We might as well keep it in the family, and the Irish Rugby Union head coach is certainly a Wigan legend in league terms. 370 appearances and over 3,000 points for the club between 1991 and 2004. Again, it's an honours list that goes on and on and on. 7 times the First Division / Super League champion, twice League Leaders' Shield, 5-time Rugby League Premiership winner, 6-time Challenge Cup winner, 1-time Lancashire Cup, 3-time League Cup, twice Charity Shield, and once World Club Challenge champion. Finished? Not quite, that's only the club level. Individually, Golden Boot winner, twice Man of Steel, 7-time Super League Dream Team included, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2022, and of course in Wigan's Hall of Fame. Andy Farrell is one of the greatest players to ever don not just a cherry and white, but a rugby league shirt of any type. What I would love to do, based off all the hype in pre-season now, is to say that we're sticking with the third Farrell at 13 and going for Owen. However, at the time of recording, despite supposedly being signed 8 or 9 months ago, he is still not signed for Wigan. So what we're going to do instead is still somehow keep it in the family by going for his brother-in-law, Sean O'Loughlin. And it had to be Sean O'Loughlin at 13, didn't it? A one-club man who spent nearly 20 years there, 458 games, 88 tries, but again, that wasn't really his role as loose forward. You don't need me to tell you how good O'Loughlin was as a player. His 4 titles, 3 league leaderships, 2 Challenge Cups, World Club Challenge, again, and the most yet, an 8-time Super League Dream Team including, 3 times Wigan Player of the Year. He even got the OBE for his services to Rugby League. That says it all, because we all know how Rugby League is not particularly acknowledged by the, shall we say, the elites that hand the awards out like Union is. Sean O'Loughlin, it had to be him at 13. Anyone else would be absolutely criminal. Moving on to the bench now then, and we're going to keep these ones a bit more brief. I'm going to start with Harrison Hansen, who spent the best part of a decade there between 04 and 13. Just under 50 tries across nearly 250 games. He was again a key part of this Wigan squad that, like we've said so often, won the grand finals, won the Challenge Cups. The fact he's still going at 38 in the Championship and still having a decent career is a fantastic sign of the professional he is. Joining him on the bench is another OBE, in fact, it's Jason Robinson. The Leeds-born winger/fullback, again, spent all his rugby league career at Wigan with across 302 appearances. Again, he kind of spanned the Super League era, but picked up over 600 points for the Cherry and White during that time, and it's fair to say achieved far more at Wigan than what his son Lewis Tierney would go on to do. Robinson, again, could have been easily a shoo-in here, but was just pipped by the quality of Tompkins, Richards and Charnley before him. Sticking with good fullbacks, and is the guy who is now CEO of Wigan, and another one-club man, in fact. Over 320 games for Wigan, it is, of course, Chris Walinski. In his 13-year stint, 700 points to his name, and again, his individual honours is fantastic, as well as the 3 Super League / First Division titles, Regal Trophies, Challenge Cups. He's a Harry Sunderland Award winner, Lance Todd Trophy winner, and like we've said before, MBE and later CEO of the club. He bleeds cherry and white, and to not acknowledge that and put him in this conversation, again, I'd be lynched forever by the Wigan fans if I didn't mention Radlinski here. And lastly, a man who, on the pitch, achieved so much. Off the pitch, was never stranger to controversy, and this is another member of this fantastic early 2000s Wigan production line, and that is Gareth Hogg. Just under 50 tries across 10 years at Wigan, and you have to feel like he could have potentially got there had he not received his drugs ban. Ultimately, I won't touch too much on Hogg's career anymore, because frankly the things he's done off the pitch mean I don't really want to give him a platform, but a great player on the pitch, and somebody who, in rugby terms at least, knew what he was good at and knew how to make that count. And that, at 5 minutes over what I was told, and still just under the 20 minutes Callum jokes about on the pod on Wednesday, is my 1 to 17 best Wigan squad of the Super League era. Let me know who you guys would have included and who you want to see next. I think my next plan is to look at Warrington and see what they've got, which fortunately means I won't be reading trophies off for hours on end. But yeah, who do we want after Warrington? Let me know in the comments, and if you want to see more of this series or have any other ideas, pop them down below. We do take a look at them. We try to respond to everything, and subscribe to see what's on the agenda. Until then, thanks guys, goodbye.